returns are consistent, your game can go anywhere. Align Max, our newest raised ridge technology, designed to keep you and your game locked in on every shot. Only from Golf Pride. Respect the grip.
Welcome into the Wagyu Filet podcast on 5 Clubs. Johnson Wagner, Brendon Jonge. Today, we felt like it would be fun, since we're just coming off the PGA Championship, 2 majors into the season, to talk about Ryder Cup and to maybe, start picking our teams, Brendon.
I think it's as good a time as any. The PGA of America just put on a wonderful event over there at Quail Hollow this last week. They're going to put on another wonderful event at Bethpage in a couple months' time, being the Ryder Cup.
And the talk has been European teams. We've had a lot of winners out there. You want to start with U.S.? Do you want to start with Europe? I think this is... Where you want to go, U.S.?
Yeah, let's start with the home team.
All right, let's start with the home team. I like that. So let's do this. Let's go down our list. I want to pick 6 locks, and then I want to kind of debate, or not 6 locks. I want you to tell me your locks and see if we align there.
Okay. Well, obviously, Scotty Scheffler is a lock. I know you will agree with me. I know you don't like to. You will agree.
I'm going to need to see a little bit more out of Scotty.
Okay. Xander Schauffele.
Lock.
Bryson DeChambeau.
Lock. In the second place finish. Not that it was in question going into the PGA, but what he's done these last couple majors. Lock, absolutely.
Justin Thomas.
You're calling him a lock?
Yep.
Come on.
Yep.
Me too.
Colin Morikawa.
Lock.
And then I think Russell Henley is a lock. And we talked about this a little bit, purely for the fact that, well, not purely because he's a very good player and he's played very well, but also for the fact that him and Scotty Scheffler played so well together in that President's Cup. I think we're going to see Russell Henley on that team, and we're going to see him as Scotty Scheffler's partner.
I like that. Did they, at President's Cup at Royal Montreal, they played alternate shot together? I don't know that they really let the reins off on them playing better ball, but I think that's a potential. Those guys could potentially play all 5 matches. I don't know that you sit Scotty Scheffler. And the way both of them drive it around Bethpage, historically, Bethpage has had a lot of rough. I don't know how they'll set it up for this Ryder Cup, but if you don't drive it straight at Bethpage, you're in for a long day. I love that team. Okay. All right, so now we're getting a little bit out. Those are our 6 that are going to make the team on their own. Now we're going to get into captain's picks. I've got a group of 3 that I think will be on there that I'm very confident in.
Okay.
And do you have a group of 3 that you're very confident in? Or?
Yes, I've got 3 guys, that I'm more confident in than others. But obviously we've got some time. But go ahead, you go first.
I think the way Harris English won at a tough golf course, Torrey Pines, I know it's not similar golf course to Bethpage, but both have rough. Both you have to drive it straight. The way Harris English played there, plus with the T2 at the PGA, I think he's going to make his second team. He played really nicely at Whistling Straits in 2021. You had mentioned earlier he came off an injury. He's back on form. I see him continuing to play well this summer, maybe even getting in that top 6. And also, when you look at a guy like Harris, he and Russell Henley played college golf together at Georgia. So it's nice to have versatility and pairings. And I think Harry's the kind of guy, as good as he hits it, he can play with anybody. With his personality, he can play with anybody. So I really like him on that team.
I do. I agree with you there. I think we will see Harris in September on that team. I'm going to go a little bit further down here. Patrick Cantlay. I think Patrick Cantlay is going to find something. He's going to find enough form to where he plays his way, and I do feel like he's going to play his way into this top 6. I think he's going to be an automatic pick. It hasn't been the greatest year in the fact that he hasn't had a bunch of high finishes. There still has been the consistency. Remove the PGA Championship last week where he missed the cut and didn't play well, but I think Cantlay will be one of those guys that's going to play his way in there.
I think Cantlay, even if he doesn't play his way into the top 6, if he stays around 12, he's going to get picked. Just the way that he and Xander have paired up in President's Cups and Ryder Cups in the past, I think that is becoming such a solid team. And now they're getting older. They're darn near the veterans on that team. So I think Cantlay, Schauffele, he is my next guy.
Well, and you talked about having to drive the ball well at Bethpage. That's one thing that Patrick Cantlay really does. He's a good driver of the golf ball, and he's going to bring a level of consistency in there.
Absolutely. All right, you want your next one, or you want me?
I'll go again because I got a feeling about this guy. I think Andrew Novak is going to hang around. I think he's gonna be that guy that is going to find a way to carry this form that he's brought the early part of this year through the summer. And I think Andrew Novak is going to be on that team. He's a guy that you watch him play, and he doesn't look like he's scared of the big moment. He looks like he's kind of relishes the big moment. I think he will thrive in this atmosphere.
Andrew Novak's 9th on the list right now currently. I agree with you. I have him on my kind of last 3 picks. I really like the way he's playing. I think, unfortunately for him, he would be a Ryder Cup rookie. I think Captain Keegan's going to need to see the same level of play. If he falls off a little bit, I think he's going to be a fringe pick, even if he's 11th or 12th. If his game doesn't continue down the path that it is right now, I mean, if we're picking today, clearly he's on the team.
Do you think if he's at 9 when they're coming to make the picks, he gets a pick right there?
I think he's at 9 now, and if he stayed at 9, yes, I do, because that would have meant that he would have carried good form through the final 2 majors of the season, possibly into the playoffs as well. I like that. I'm not ready to just die on a hill for Andrew Novak just because I think there are so much unknowns. I'm going with Brian Harman. Brian Harman's going to be my 9th guy. I just think Open champion. He's played the last Ryder Cup, President's Cup. He's a veteran. He's got a great voice. Would really pair up well with a lot of different people in alternate shot. And so I think Harm is kind of my last guy that I'm feeling pretty confident. And he won earlier this year at the Valero Texas Open. So he's my 9th guy.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of upside for Harm. I mean, he's a little bulldog. He loves match play, relishes the confrontation, the one-on-one. The only deterrent for Harm would be that the golf course doesn't really suit him. He's typically a little bit of a flatter ball flight, doesn't hit it that far. But I think I'm agreeing with you there. I do think we will see Brian Harman there, but I've got Harman as one of those guys that's kind of a fringe for me.
And that's interesting because, I said that about Andrew Novak. I think Andrew Novak has a little bit better course fit than a Brian Harman does, and he just putts so well, but it is a big ballpark. I mean, he struggled a little bit at Quail Hollow at the PGA Championship, big, long, wet golf course. I think that does play a factor. All right, so then we're kind of getting down. We're a little off there with each other, which is fine, but we're kind of getting down into those final 3 guys. And for me, these are the ones. I've got a lot of guys on the outside looking in. For me, I really like, right now, Maverick McNeely's on my team.
Yep, I think Maverick McNeely is going to be on that team. It's solid through the bag. Another one of those guys that really you can pair with anybody. And the American team does have the luxury of that in the lower half, that most of these guys are pretty laid-back guys. They're easy to be around, and they've got games that will kind of match with anybody. And Maverick McNeely definitely falls into that category. I'm going to throw one at you here, and this is going to be a little bit of a curveball. And this is something that we talked about early in the year. Keegan Bradley. I still think that Keegan Bradley is going to find a way to play his way onto this team and is going to be playing as a player captain. I was a lot more bullish on it earlier in the year. Did have a really good week at the PGA Championship, which is going to help him. I think Oakmont is a golf course where Keegan can play really well. Again, big ballpark, hits the ball way up in the air. Keegan's got a game that is made for Bethpage where we're going to be playing this Ryder Cup. Again, hits the ball way up in the air, hits it a long way. If Keegan is 9, 10, 11, does he pick himself? I don't know. That would be one where it would be amongst the vice captains and the team members to decide whether it's going to happen as a playing captain. But I still think Keegan's game is good enough to play his way onto this team.
I think it is too. I think getting into the top 6 is a little bit, he's 17th right now. I think he would need something just unbelievable in the final 2 majors, possibly even winning one. I do agree with you at Oakmont. But if he goes out and has a couple top 5s, but I truly believe if he gets into the top 10, if he's like 11th, 10th, 11th, I think that team will make him pick himself. And I think they'll do it in a way that it's unanimous between the assistant captains and everything. And I think as much as the Ryder Cup means to Keegan, I think he would love the opportunity to play. He said he's not going to pick himself, But I think when the team makes him, he has to.
And I think a big part of that will also be who the guys are on the fringe as well, right? If there's a bunch of rookies, if it's Andrew Novak, if it's JJ Spawn, if it's a bunch of guys that haven't played, or Maverick McNeely that haven't played in these team events, and you feel like you need a bit more of a veteran presence on the team, then there's even a better chance that Keegan Bradley ends up playing.
I like the Keegan. I like the Keegan thing. I'm going to throw Daniel Berger at you.
Mm-hmm.
I think Daniel Berger has been playing really good golf coming off that injury, the back injury. Didn't have the surgery. He's back on form. I know we've both picked him to win Colonial. Hopefully, if people are listening to this now, he's already won Colonial. That would be sweet. Yeah, I think Daniel Berger also played in 21 on that team at Whistling Straits. He's a great team room guy. Everybody on that team loves him. I think Daniel Berger would be an asset to that Ryder Cup.
And he's another one of those guys I'd almost put him in the Brian Harmon mold that really likes the match play, really likes the head-to-head. So I'm with you on Berger. I think there's a good opportunity for Daniel Berger to be on this team.
I have Andrew Novak in this position. I didn't have Keegan. Do you have a third in this position?
I do, and this guy is one of the best iron players in the game. Tom Hoagie. I think there's an opportunity for Tom Hoagie to play his way onto this team as well. I think we've talked about it ad nauseum now almost. These guys are easy to pair with everybody. Hoagie's the same thing. Who wouldn't want to play alternate shot with somebody like Tom Hoagie? Drive him in the fairway, you know he's gonna hit you in there somewhere good and close. I think we might see Tom Hoagie on this team.
I've got him just on my fringe, but I like Hoagie a lot. All right, so some guys that actually, before we go to guys that we have not making the team but close, who are you pairing with Bryson DeChambeau? And are you letting Bryson play all? How many matches is Bryson going? And I guess better ball, you're clearly going to put him out both times.
Yes, I would struggle to put Bryson out there in an alternate shot match. I think he plays a game that's so different from everybody else. I don't know who you could pair with Bryson. The one guy that comes to mind is maybe Colin Morikawa, because I think if you can figure it out, and I haven't sat down and done a breakdown of Bethpage where Bryson's hitting the majority of the tee shots and you're getting Morikawa to hit the majority of the iron shots, I think then that could be a formidable pair. The weakness for Bryson is that iron game, but as I say, he's so hard to pair with somebody because his game is so different.
Yeah, but even the Morikawa-DeChambeau pairing for better ball would be incredible, because Morikawa's down the fairway, he's got looks on every hole, he's kind of like par's your partner and is also going to throw a bunch of birdies at you, and DeChambeau could just go freewheeling, cutting corners, taking on flags. I think that's an awesome pairing. I like that, because I just don't think, I don't know, I think he's going to be tough. I think he's going to be on the team, obviously, and it's going to be tough to find somebody that's going to gel with them. They're both California guys.
You know, unless Bryson is playing unbelievably well that week, I don't think he's going to be one of those guys that's going to be a 5-session guy. I think probably the way that we're going to look at it, we might maybe see 3 guys on that team, maybe 4 that are 5-session guys. I think Bryson would be one that we'll probably see sit at least one of the sessions.
So who are your 5-session guys?
I would look at Scotty Scheffler, because you can pair him with anybody. Definitely, you make sure Scotty plays. Xander, same thing. Make sure Xander plays them all. Justin Thomas for me he's the American equivalent to Ian Poulter. He's kind of the irritant. He wants to get in the face of the opposing team, and I feel like he's the one that's going to get that Bethpage and that New York crowd energy going. So Justin Thomas would be definitely another one that I'd play all 5. And then, I mean, obviously a lot of this depends on how the guys are playing that week. Right. If somebody's struggling with their game, they'll sit and they will make adjustments on the fly. But looking at it right now, those 3 guys would be definite 5-session guys for me.
That's a big ballpark too. It's not the easiest walk in the world. I mean, it's going to be trying to get that many. All right, some guys that I have on the outside looking in. I'm about to cry, but Jordan Spieth, 32nd still in Ryder Cup, and he's had some great moments this year, and he's had some really nice weeks. I mean, the 62 Sunday at the Byron Nelson to finish 4th, and he's had a couple other top 5s. He just hasn't done it in the big spots. He needs to perform in the majors, and when you look at Oakmont coming up, I don't see him particularly playing that great at Oakmont. Maybe at Royal Port Rush, and he could make a run there.
Yeah, it'd be. I mean, Jordan's going to have to do something really special between now and September if he wants to be on that team. You know, the iron game's still a little bit off. He doesn't have the level of consistency. It'd be hard to have him. I know him and Justin Thomas have played a lot of golf together. Didn't really work out that well for them in the last Ryder Cup. Cup. They didn't pair well, didn't have good results. Yeah, I'm with you there. I don't see Jordan on that team. Another guy just on the outside is Tony Finau. I would love to see Tony Finau on this team because, again, I think Tony's one of those guys that's great in the locker room, easy to pair with anybody. I just don't know if Tony's going to be able to do enough to play his way onto this team.
And Wyndham Clark. I mean, Wyndham Clark, I thought last year Wyndham would be an absolute lock to be on these teams for a long time. He's 19th.
Yeah.
Like, I think guys like Spieth and Wyndham and Finau, they don't, and what's Finau? Finau's a 14th. So I think those guys don't necessarily have to get into the top 10 to be picked because of their history, because of the success that they've had, or at least experience in Ryder Cups past. But you look at a guy like JT Poston, great putter. He's made strides in his game the last few years to get longer, hits it plenty far, just finished second at the PGA. JT Poston, I mean, Akshay Bhatia, I've been riding hard for him for a while, just hadn't shown the consistency at the top stage events to be deserving of that spot right now. But I think Akshay, Poston, and even a JJ Spawn, but JJ Spawn's got to continue this play he's had beginning of the year, and he's like Andrew Novak. If it drops off, they're going to be the first two out.
And we've got to say, there's a great opportunity that there's somebody right now that we're not even talking about that's going to get really hot this summer, that's going to play their way onto this team. Like
Luke Clanton.
Luke Clanton, something like that, just somebody completely that is off the wall right now, gets really hot for 4 or 5 weeks in a row and plays their way onto this. I mean, it happens every year. It happened with Ludwig Oberg with the European team the last time that the Ryder Cup came around.
Yeah, I like Luke Clanton. All right, anything else on the American side? I think we've got a good solid team.
I think it's a pretty good 12 right there.
It's shocking we're not talking about Brooks Koepka. I mean, I know he made the last team based on his win at Oak Hill. He was the 7th player. He dropped from 6th to 7th at the very end, but Captain Johnson still picked him. But we've only got the one American live player on our team, and I don't think Brooks would be mad that we didn't put him in there. He has not done anything to deserve being in that conversation really the last year and a half.
Yeah, no, I mean, he really hasn't played well, and there's no signs that really show that Brooks is trending in a good direction either. So I don't think we'll see Brooks on that team.
All right, let's start with Europe. I've got six locks. I've got Rory McIlroy, Shane Lowry, Sepp Straka, Ludwig Oberg, who has not been playing great lately. I still think he's a lock. Tommy Fleetwood, and Justin Rose, and actually John Rahm. I have 7 locks.
Okay.
I have 7 locks on the team. Do you disagree with any of those being locks?
No, I don't disagree with any of those being locks. I've got another lock for you. I think Tyrrell Hatton's going to be a lock.
He was a fringe lock, but yeah.
Yeah, I think Tyrrell Hatton's going to be on that team. I mean, was in the top 10 in the world for a long time, is still playing some very, very good golf. Seems like any time he goes over and plays any of those DP World events, he's either contending or winning. So I think Hatton will be a lock as well.
And is that it? Do you have any other locks? Because
No.
my next nearest lock is Rasmus Højgaard. Mm-hmm. Rasmus has been playing some excellent golf, hits the ball a mile, hits it high. I think the story, Nikolai made the team last year because he got his card over in the U.S. quicker, but Rasmus has 5 DP World Tour wins. Nikolai had the 3. Like, before Nikolai came over, Rasmus was known as the better Højgaard twin.
Right.
And now that he's playing in the U.S., we're seeing him more.
Well, and he's number 3 on the list right now.
And he's
Rasmus,
right.
yeah.
So I think, he's my next guy. He's number 8 on my team, or 9 on my team, because I agree with you on Tyrrell.
As far as locks go, that's all I have. Actually, I've got a couple guys that are right now just on the outside. I think they're going to play their way onto the team. Robert McIntyre being one of those guys. I think Robert McIntyre is going to find a way to play well through this summer, coming up to a couple golf tournaments that he's defending. I think Robert McIntyre will be there. And the fact that Robert McIntyre acquitted himself so well in Rome the last time they played, I think he's going to be that guy that we see as well.
Yeah, he's currently 15th. I've got him as my last man in, 12 man. I agree. I think I think the players really enjoy him as well. Bobby Mack. I think the European team room. I'm an American guy. I just would love to be a fly on the wall at some point in the European team room. I know that's never going to happen, but it seems like it would be fun in there. I've got Victor Hovland. I think he's got the experience. He was so incredible at Rome. Where is he right now on this list?
He's 12.
12.
Yep.
Yeah. I've got Victor Hovland as my 10 guy.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Victor Hovland, the win at Valspar is massive for him. And the self-talk was so weird for so long. Now, lately, the self-talk has actually improved a little bit from Victor Hovland, almost like he's crossed a little bit of a bridge there and starting to believe that he's working on the right things again. I think he's going to have some big results as well. I think Victor Hovland will be on that team. I think he's actually going to end up being an automatic pick on that team. I feel like he's that good to where he's going to play his way into that top 6.
I like that, and there's a lot of time left. The thing with Victor Hovland, I think we praise Scotty so much for his patience and for, obviously he's trying to do things the right way, he grips at his alignment, but Scotty's not on this pursuit for perfection because I think he realizes that it's not attainable. The problem for me with Victor is that he's on this pursuit of something that's completely unattainable. He's trying to be perfect. And I think when he realizes, like, hey, I don't have to be perfect, I just won Innisbrook, I can not have my best stuff and go win. I think once he chills just a little bit.
Do you think he can, though? This is a guy that's spoken outwardly about, I've got a curious mind, I'm a tinkerer, I need to be thinking outside the box. I don't know if he can quiet his mind to the point of Scotty, to where, okay, let me just work on this fundamental whatever.
That's a fair point because everybody's different and everybody works in different ways. What makes Bryson DeChambeau tick is completely different from Scotty. What makes Victor Hovland tick is completely different. But I do think he could just settle down just a little bit on the pursuit of perfection, but that is also what makes him great. So.
I think the Victor Hovland fans would like to see him just settle down a little bit, stop screwing around with every different coach you can find and trying every different sequence. But yeah, I think he's a guy that's so talented. And you mentioned a little while ago how well he played in Rome and paired with Ludwig Oberg. I think that's a comfortable pairing for those two guys, and I think that'll go a long way as well.
All right, who's my final guy right now? I have Thomas Dietrich down there. I really like Aaron Rye. He's close to me. I think for me being on the team, I think we need to see a little bit of something at a major championship for Aaron Rye, but I think he's fringe. I mean, he's a workaholic.
Yep.
He'll be an alternate shot specialist.
Yes.
Straight as he drives it, as quality as he is through the bag, I think he'd pair with anybody in alternate shot.
In alternate shot, he'd be the equivalent of a Tom Hoagie.
Yeah.
Very, very, very similar sort of game as a Tom Hoagie. Very controlled, very, very good, very accurate. I've got a couple guys here that are a little bit on the outside right now, but I think Marco Penge. This guy got his first win on the DP World Tour, and I was fortunate enough to watch him play a little bit at the PGA Championship. Guy hits it absolute miles, cruising around that 190 mile an hour ball speed, cruising. Big, tall guy. I think this guy is uber talented. I think he might be the Ludwig Oberg of this iteration of the Ryder Cup here. I think he's going to be one of those guys that's going to play his way close and give Luke Donald a difficult decision to make.
Well, and Luke's already proven that, I mean, picking Ludwig Oberg was, I know he had won the week of the picks, but he took a chance and it paid off. And so down at the bottom of this list, I mean, we've also got Nikolai Højgaard. Mm-hmm. Nikolai's not playing great right now.
Yeah, he's not.
And this Norgaard and Rasmus Niergaard and Laurie Cantor, Thorbjorn Olesen, Matt Wallace is playing good golf. There's a bunch of guys on the outside looking in that are playing good golf, and I was on the range at the PGA and somebody said, you need to watch this guy hit a driver. And it was that Marco Penge.
Yeah.
And I need to start paying attention. I'm going to write him down.
He's a good one to watch. You mentioned Matt Wallace. Matt Wallace is currently number 10. I think Matt Wallace is one of those guys that needs to be close to that top 6 to get a pick. I don't see him getting in right now. He's a little bit too inconsistent for me. He's been blowing hot and cold. I'll give you another name, Sami Välimäki. Sami Välimäki's had some really good events, played recently, contended in Houston, I believe. May have ended second or third there at Houston. I think there's a great chance that Sami Välimäki's another guy that plays his way very close to that top 12 and gives Luke something to think about right there.
I like that. He kind of made his presence known at the Mexico Open last year when Jake Knapp won. He's put himself in position a couple times this year on tour to win. All right, so we talked about Bryson being somewhat of a difficult, not a difficult pairing, but his game's so different on the U.S. side that it may be interesting to figure out how to pair him. Is there anybody you see down that European side that you have any issues of pairing with anybody?
There really isn't, and there never seems to be with the Europeans. They always seem to gel pretty well. I know that they're a close-knit bunch. The camaraderie is great on the DP World Tour. These guys end up spending a lot of time together. You would think that Tyrrell Hatton might be difficult to pair just because of the way he is, how angry he gets out there, but him and Jon Rahm have been a great partnership at times. No, when you look down this list, you think you could come up with all kinds of different pairings together.
And that's what they do with Eduardo Molinari, being able to break guys down and look at the golf course and just get these statistical advantages. I mean, Rory McIlroy's been on record saying winning an away Ryder Cup's one of the greatest achievements in the game. And then after Rome, he said, we're going to go to Bethpage and we're going to win. The way McIlroy, Lowry, Straka, Ludwig winning the Genesis earlier this year, the European team, Jon Rahm starting to come to form. The European team's playing good golf. I'm a little scared. I'm a little scared. I don't want Bethpage means a lot to me, that golf course. The fans are going to be amazing and rowdy. I don't want to see the U.S. lose a home Ryder Cup at Bethpage, but it's in the back of my mind right now.
Well, to add to his point about one of the most difficult things to do, or one of the biggest accomplishments, is winning an away Ryder Cup. Winning an away Ryder Cup in New York, that takes it to the next level. I mean, you've got a fan base that prides on themselves on being hard on the opposition. Like, it's going to be fun to watch. It's going to make for great TV. I'm sure it's going to come very close to crossing the line at certain points. But I think it's going to be a wonderful competition, and I'm excited for September. I really am. It's going to be awesome.
The U.S. team seems to carry a little bit more weight and pressure on them. I think you're going to see this European team come in. It's like 08 at Oakland Hills. Hal Sutton, I think the U.S. team had a no autograph policy during practice rounds. And so the European team saw that and just started signing autographs for everybody. Stop and sign everybody's. Anything they want you to sign. And they sort of endeared themselves. There could be something similar. I don't know what plan Luke Donald's going to come up with, but they're going to try to do something to mitigate the hatred for the European Ryder Cup team in New York.
They're very good at that, about jumping on any little bit of knowledge that you can and grabbing hold of that. I mean, I know it wasn't a little bit, but Patrick Cantlay not wearing the hat. I mean, the way they jumped on that. I will say this, though, for winning an away Ryder Cup, if you're the European team, it's going to be essential that your big guns fire. You're going to need to get some points out of your star power to the point where a Rory McIlroy might need to get 3.5 or 4 points through the week if you want to get it done on the road.
That's a good point. You would know, 2013 President's Cup team member. Well, thank you for listening to our little halfway point for the Ryder Cup preview pod. We'll be back in a couple weeks with more from 5 Clubs. This is Johnson Wagner, Brendon DeYoung. Thanks for listening to the Wagyu Filet Podcast.